Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great week. It is Monday, October 20th, 3:13 p.m. Central Daylight Time, local time here in Oklahoma City. We got until I think November 2nd. So just a couple more weeks of daylight savings time left. I hate daylight savings time. I wish they would get rid of it. So, what's going on with me? Tons of drama. Let me see if it's still pulled up here. Um, it is. Okay, let's check this out. So I just booked this load. Well, not just. I booked it at like, I want to say 10 a.m. Um, I can't remember exactly. It's been a few hours. It's 3:14 p.m. right now. I think it was, let me see if I highlight over this. It tells me when the load was posted. It doesn't. I could find out. Let me pause this real quick. I'll find out. All right, the email I got from Landstar was at 11:06 a.m. So I booked the load right about 11 a.m., just a little before 11 a.m. It took them like 15 or 20 minutes to send me the email. Um, so this is the load. For those of you who, I know that there are people that watch the videos and there are people who just listen to the videos as they're driving down the road. So I try to remember those people and I try to vocalize what's on the screen because I know you're not looking at the screen. So this load is from Tonkawa, Oklahoma to Omaha, Nebraska. And Tonkawa, Oklahoma is right off of I-35, really close to the Kansas border. It's north central Oklahoma. It's almost exactly 100 miles north of where I pay to park the truck in Oklahoma City. And it's going almost 400 miles. On here it says 368 miles, but I think it's a decent ways further than that. It's closer to 400 miles because these are short miles. Going to Omaha, Nebraska. It's a tire load. So I wasn't like I was looking for a load to leave the house on. Okay, so let me backpedal a little bit. My last load was that 43. Well, I got paid for 44 stops, but it was actually 43 deliveries. They paid me for one extra delivery. I'm not going to complain about that. Um, because the load paid crap. Like it paid $2 a mile on the full rate. I only get about 65% of that. So on the mileage rate, it paid $1.30 a mile plus fuel surcharge. So I'm not sure exactly what I made per mile, but almost all it was probably somewhere around $1.40 a mile that I got paid on the load. But almost all of the pay was stop pay and driver unload pay. That's the only thing that made the load like decent pay was all the I got paid $57.50 per stop. So it was $50 per stop plus $25 unload pay. I got 100% of the unload pay, 65% of the stop pay, which came out to 57.50 if I remember correctly. So 57.5 times 43. They paid me for 44, but they get one for free. There you only get paid for extra stops. One of the stops I don't get paid. I got $25 for unloading on that extra one, but so what I got paid in all the stop and unload pay was approximately $2,472.50. So, but there was a bunch of other like pay in there with stuff. I forget everything. The total amount of money that I got paid on that load was like $8,300 gross to the truck, somewhere in that area. But anyway, a massive multi-stop load that took me 9 days to deliver. It was originally scheduled for like 14 days to deliver. I delivered like 5 days early. I finished the whole thing like 5 days early. So it took me like 9 days to do it. And it was across Kansas and Oklahoma. So anyway, I finished that load on I think September 17th. and I made it to the house with like 15 minutes left on my 14-hour clock that Wednesday evening. And I've been sitting at the house ever since. I didn't plan on staying home this long, but there was a delay in all the filters that I ordered for the PM on the truck. They took like a week longer than expected to deliver, a week and a half or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then, like the day before I got the PM done, Landstar stole the trailer from me. And so I didn't have a trailer to book a load. So I've been looking for an SOS load or somebody that would give me a trailer ever since then. And one got posted today. It was this load. This is an SOS load. This is somebody that's broken down. So I called up Landstar and I said, hey, I'm sitting at the house. I need a couple of days to get the truck ready. How long until this load needs to be picked up? Could it wait till Wednesday to be picked up? And they said, oh yeah, that'll be fine. And I said, cool. And they said, well, when can you deliver it? And I said, is it like a set delivery appointment or what's the deal? And they said, yeah, we'll schedule the delivery appointment. And they said, wait a second, it's first come, first served, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's not like a hard delivery appointment. And they said, no, it's just whenever you can get there. And I said, okay, cool. And they said, well, when are you going to get there? And I said, well, can you set the expectation with the customer that I'll be there by the end of the day Friday, Friday by 5 p.m.? And they said, no, we need it delivered before then. I said, oh, okay. I could be there first thing Thursday morning. I could pick it up Wednesday evening, drive overnight, and be there first thing Thursday morning. And they sat there for like 10 seconds without saying anything. And they said, okay, that'll work. And they said, they got my information. They said they'd email me the load info. And they did. And then a couple of hours later, I got a call from the agent. Well, let me backpedal. I got that email like 15 or 20 minutes after I booked the load, and it had the driver's phone number. So I called the driver and I said, hey, I'm another Landstar driver. I just booked the load and I'm calling to see like what the situation is. And he said, oh, Landstar, and the agent haven't really been talking to me. I have no idea what's going on with Landstar or the agent. And I told him, what I just told you, that, I'm at home, I need a couple of days, and I was planning on picking the, trailer up Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. And he said, yeah, cool. That'll give me time to get a tow truck out here. I'm still waiting on a tow truck. Because he's dealing with the insurance, the other person's insurance company, and he's waiting on them to get a tow truck out there so he doesn't have to pay out of pocket for a tow truck. And they told him that they would contact him tomorrow about when they would be able to get a tow truck out to him. And I said, okay, cool. So he also told me it was a high value load, so he had to stay with the load until I got there. And I was like, well, damn, I don't want you to, what's the situation when you get towed? Are you going with the truck, when it gets towed? Or are you going to, are you just going to sit around at the truck stop and wait on me? What's going on? And he said that he lives in Tulsa and his wife came and picked him up, and he went back to Tulsa and got his car and drove it back over here. So he actually has his personal vehicle there. So he said that he would just wait there in his personal vehicle until I showed up. And I was like, man, I don't want you to have to sit until Wednesday, sit there for a day in your personal vehicle waiting on me. I was like, well, I'll get ready as soon as I can, and I will try to be there tomorrow evening. And he said, cool. And we ended up talking for like a half hour. He told me that he went in to take a shower, and when he came out from the shower, the person that was parked next to him had pulled out of their spot and just turned as if he wasn't there. And they had a reefer, if I remember correctly. They had a refrigerated trailer, which I don't think that's pertinent to the story, but I think I remember him giving me that detail. And he said that their trailer just went across his truck, and his truck was moved over a couple of feet, and it just destroyed his truck. his engine is not setting like straight anymore. It might have bent his frame. His truck won't start. Like a bunch of stuff. His truck is really messed up. And I was like, damn, dude, you've been sitting there for a week without. It happened last Thursday, this past Thursday. So he's been sitting there since Thursday without a truck. His truck won't start. So no HVAC since Thursday. And he's been going through a whole bunch of drama. He's been dealing with insurance companies. He's been dealing with Landstar Safety, Landstar Operations, me, like all kinds of stuff. But so I talked with him, and I was like, all right, well, I'll get ready and I'll try to be out there as soon as I can tomorrow. It'll be late in the evening tomorrow. And he was like, all right. And I said, just give me, as soon as you find out when the tow truck is going to be there, let me know. If it's not going to be there till Wednesday or Thursday, then I'm not going to show up till Wednesday or Thursday. But if it gets there tomorrow, let me know, and I'll be out there as quickly as I can tomorrow. And he's like, all right, will do. And then a couple hours later, the agent calls. And the agent's like, yeah, I think you booked a load with us. And I was like, yeah. And I'm dealing with like, I don't know, an employee at first. And he's like, I forget exactly how he worded it. He was like, he was like really pushy. And he was like, so when are you going to be there? I said, I told Landstar I'd be there Thursday morning. He said, we can't do that. This load has to be there like right now. We need somebody to pick it up today. And I was like, you'd realize that Chris is still hooked up to the trailer right now. Like nobody can pick up the trailer right now. And he's like, we need somebody to pick it up right now. And I said, Chris is still hooked up to the trailer. His truck's broke down. He needs a tow truck to come out there before he can, hook up to the trailer. The way the light is hitting my head, it looks like a turtle is sitting on my head or something. That is weird. That's crazy. All right. Anyway, I just noticed that. What was I saying? Okay, so he's getting really pushy, telling me that I need to pick the trailer up today. And I said, I tried to like talk to him, but he just kept talking over me. Like every time I'd start to say something, he'd just talk over me. And he said, hold on a minute. And he came back and he said, thanks for holding. I forgot what he said. He said, we need somebody out there today. And I said, have you talked with Chris? And he said, hold on a minute. And he put me on hold again. And then somebody else came back over the phone, which was, I'm pretty sure, the actual agent that owns the agency. And the guy just started like ripping into me. And he said, I can't remember what exactly he said. He said, we need somebody out there today to pick this up. He just was, he said, when can you be out there? When's the earliest you can be out there? Or something like that. And I took a deep breath and started to talk, and he just interjected and said, before you go and get huffy and puffy on me, and just started, I need somebody out there to pick it up today. And it sounds like it's not going to be you. So it sounds like I need to get somebody else to pick this load up. And I said, okay, and hung up. And then I texted Chris and said, hey, the agent just called me and was confrontational on the phone. and told me he needs somebody to deliver it earlier, and he's going to find somebody else to deliver the load, so I'm not on the load anymore. And Chris texted me back and said, yeah, he just called me pissed. Then like 2 minutes later, the agent calls back and he said, hey, and he was a lot nicer this time. And it's the agent, not the employee. It's the agent that ripped into me. And he calls back much nicer this time. And he goes, hey, I just wanted to check with you. Was it Landstar that told you, you didn't need to deliver it until... Because he didn't give me an opportunity to speak. So, like, he has no idea what's going on. Because all he did was just rant and rave and just be an ass on the phone. And so he calls me back a couple of minutes later, like trying to get information this time. And he's being much nicer. And he says, was it Landstar that told you that you didn't need to deliver until Thursday? Or could you not deliver till Thursday? Like, were you able to deliver it earlier? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And I said, you know what? I really don't know if this is a conversation we should be having, because I do not appreciate the way you just talked to me. And then he went for like 2 minutes apologizing and explaining that this was a $2.5 million contract and the customer's pissed and he's sorry if he was rude. And, he's just really stressed out and he knows that I'm doing him a favor and Chris is doing him a favor and he feels really bad for Chris. And he just went like on a 2 minute apologizing. And that's when I told him exactly what I just told you. I went from the very beginning and explained to him what I talked, the conversation with Landstar and then the conversation with Chris. And I said, I was trying to get out there by tomorrow afternoon. That's the earliest I can be there is tomorrow afternoon. And I can deliver first thing Wednesday morning. That's the earliest I can do. And he said, I need somebody sooner than that. I said, all right. And he said, well, could you just give me a couple hours? I'll have you do the load, but I'll just, if you'll give me a couple of hours to just check and see if I can find somebody that can do it earlier than that. I said, yeah, I can do that. And I got off the phone with him. And then like 2 minutes later, he calls me back and he said, Wednesday morning is okay. I talked with a customer and they said, we can do Wednesday morning. So I'll just have you do the load. And I said, okay. And that's the last I talked with the agent. I was about this close to telling him to I was just about this close to just hanging up on him. Right now, the situation that I'm in, I'm not going to be able to do meal prep. Because I'm, trying to get ready to go out over the road so quickly, I don't have time to do meal prep. So right now what I'm doing, I have a load of laundry going. I need to print out all my new permits, get my permit book up to date. I've got a grocery delivery that's supposed to arrive in an hour and a half at somewhere between 5 and 7 p.m. A grocery delivery is supposed to show up. At some point, I need to swing by O'Reilly's and get coolant. They need to get a couple of gallons of coolant at some kind of, auto parts place so I don't have to pay truck stop prices for coolant. It's like, twice the price. It's like $20 for a gallon of coolant, $20 to $30 for a gallon of coolant at a truck stop. And it's like $8 or so at an auto parts store. So I need to get a couple of gallons of coolant because we replaced the coolant filter and, some coolant leaked out. So I need to put some coolant in, and I always like to have spare coolant. But yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to do to get the truck prepped and ready to go pick this load up. And this is not the exact route that I'm going to take. This thing has me taking Highway 75 all the way to Omaha. And I think I'm just going to take Highway 75 to Nebraska City. That's what I normally do, is I just take Highway 75 up here to Nebraska City because it's really close to I-29 right there. And then I hop on 29. Because I think it's bi-directional. Well, it might go to divided. Semi-divided. Yeah, it goes to divided highway. I don't know. I'll see where the address is at of the place that I'm delivering. Maybe I'll stay on 34 all the way into town. We'll see. Maybe I will take this exact route. But this says it's 462 miles. Might be a few more miles than that. But it's something that can be done in a single drive shift. All the way from, you know, where I park the truck. I can do it all in a single drive shift. And where was the load? This one right here. Yeah, so the load is paying me a little over $700. So it's paying $1,000, $850 line haul, plus $150 fuel surcharge, which comes out to like $702.50 if I remember correctly. Yeah, $702.50 is what I'm going to make on the load. So it's not really paying me very much of anything, but I need a trailer. I don't have a trailer. Trailer utilization stole my trailer, and this is going to get me a trailer, and I'm going to be in a decent freight market. Omaha is a decent freight market. And there's an agent that has quite a few loads coming out of Grand Island, Nebraska, going down toward Dallas. So I might end up driving over to Grand Island and grabbing a load going down to Dallas, and then getting a load out of Dallas up to the Portland area, which is normally what I do. I do Dallas to Portland. And I found that there's a really nice highway, Highway 81, that cuts down between Interstate 80 and Interstate 70. Like almost straight across right here. It is a really nice divided highway. Almost the whole way. Yeah, when you drive through towns, it's Main Street through town. But aside from that, it's a nice divided highway pretty much the whole drive. I had no idea that this 81 existed. So if I grab that load out of Grand Island, I'll be able to drive straight down to I-70, and then 135 to the 35. If I can find a load going to Dallas, it's basically just a straight shot down to Dallas on nice roads. But yeah, I texted Chris back, and I was like, yeah, he called back and apologized, and I'm back on the load again. And Chris said, yeah, he just called me and apologized. So it's... These agents, whenever they need something from you, they turn on this fake persona of Mr. Nice Guy. But whenever they don't need something from you, salespeople, it's been my experience that sales and marketing people are some of the meanest people you can ever encounter. But they can flip a switch, and whenever they need to be nice, they can put on this facade and be this fake nice person. And some of them are really good at faking it, but most of them, it comes across as really fake. It's just obviously fake. And yeah, I think as soon as this guy got off the phone with me, I think he realized the situation that he was in, and that he had somebody to pick the load up right now. And if I backed out of the load, it was going to screw him over. I think he realized that as soon as he got off the phone with me, because this is a load picking up in Tonkawa, Oklahoma, out in the middle of no damn where. And it's only paying $700 to the truck. No one is going to deadhead to Tonkawa, Oklahoma to pick up a $700 load. The only people that are going to pick this load up are people that are desperate in need of like getting to Tonkawa or getting to Omaha or getting a trailer. There has to be someone that's desperate to take this load because it is a terrible load out in the middle of nowhere. So I think that he realized as soon as he got off the phone with me that if he took me off the load, that he might not get it delivered by Wednesday. It may be another week or two before he finds somebody to pick the load up. And he might have to pay a lot more money. So he might have to start pulling money out of his pocket to get somebody to move the load. But yeah, this guy is at this pilot. He's at this pilot. And this is the pilot on that 43 stop delivery that I did last month. This is the pilot that I stopped at and I took a shower and got like 50 gallons of fuel. Yeah, this is a pilot that I stopped at. After I did the Ponca City delivery, right over here in Ponca City, I drove over to this pilot, put in 50 gallons, took a shower, and then I drove down to Enid, and I can't remember if it was a Lowe's or a Home Depot. I think it was a Lowe's. Stayed overnight at the Lowe's in Enid, and then, made that delivery the next morning in Enid and started my day from Enid. So yeah, I was just at this pilot not too terribly long ago. And I've checked fuel prices, and what the plan is on the fuel route is I'm going to throw in $50. I've only got about a quarter of a tank of fuel right now. So I'm going to put in $50 on the north side of Oklahoma City at the Pilot Flying J, somewhere up here in the north side of Oklahoma City. It's $2.51 a gallon. Now that's my price. That's the raw fuel price. That's after all the discounts. So I get a 6 cent per gallon discount for paying with a fuel card or cash. And then I get the Landstar fuel discount. And then that's also not including fuel tax, which in Oklahoma is 19 cents per gallon. I look at the price after fuel tax because whatever I pay in fuel tax at the pump doesn't matter. I pay fuel tax based off of miles driven in each state. Paying fuel tax at the pump is just prepaying taxes. It's meaningless. So I don't use that to judge what I'm, where I'm going to buy fuel. So there is a cheaper place to get fuel in Oklahoma City. The TA Petro is $2.48 a gallon. There's a Pilot Flying J on the west side of Oklahoma City that's $2.49 a gallon. And this Pilot Flying J is $2.51 a gallon. Well, Pilot Flying J and TA Petro, I checked several locations in the places that I drive, and they're nearly identical in price everywhere. Pilot Flying J is like 1 cent per gallon more expensive than TA Petro just about everywhere, except Portland. There's an 8 cent per gallon difference in Portland. Pilot Flying J is 8 cents a gallon more expensive than the TA Petro in Portland. But the reward program for Pilot Flying J is so much better than TA Petro that 1 cent per gallon isn't that big of a deal. I would rather pay the 1 cent per gallon extra and get the much better reward program than save a penny per gallon. The really big thing is the showers last for 10 days. The shower credits on Pilot Flying J last for 10 days, and TA Petro, they only last for 7 days. So, I really hate that they expire so quick at TA Petro. But yeah, then I'm going to top off fuel in Omaha. Omaha is one of the cheapest places in the country I can get fuel. I want to say it was 244 a gallon at the Pilot Flying J in Omaha. Let's check. I'll show you what the app looks like. The TA Petro is 244. The Pilot Flying J is what I'm going to use across the street. It's 245. So this is the Pilot Flying J that I'm going to fuel up at in Omaha. Is it in Omaha? Or no, it's Council Bluffs, Iowa. Council Bluff, Iowa. Can you see that? I'll read all that off to you. So the pump price is $3.82 a gallon, and that is after the like 6 cent per gallon cash discount. So if you're paying with credit card or debit card, it's actually $3.82 plus 6, so it's $3.88 a gallon is the pump price. So I get a 6 cent per gallon discount for paying cash or a fuel card. So that brings it down to $3.82 a gallon. Then Landstar has a discount of $1.05 per gallon. And then the state IFTA tax credit is 32 cents per gallon. Now, after you subtract all of that, the raw fuel price is $2.45 per gallon. So that's where I'm going to top off fuel is Council Bluffs. Council Bluffs? Yeah, with an S. Not Council Bluff, Council Bluffs, Iowa. I'm going to top off fuel there. And basically Omaha, Nebraska, but it's Council Bluffs, Iowa. And so yeah, I'll top off fuel there. And I don't know what load I'm going to take out of the Omaha area, but most likely, based off the loads that I've seen that come out of there, I'm most likely going to take a load down to the Dallas area and then try to find a big paying load coming out of Dallas going up to Portland. Because the loads I've seen coming out of the Omaha area going to Portland don't pay great. So I'm probably going to get a load to Dallas and then try to find a great paying load from Dallas to Portland. We do have something to be concerned about that's on the horizon. Tariffs. The China tariffs are coming back. Trump is scheduled to go to South Korea October 31st and November 1st. He's expected to meet with Xi Jinping, the leader of China, however you pronounce that. And he is hopeful that he's going to sign a trade deal with China while he's there. But China has made some kind of threats about rare earth minerals, which are a critical import for us. I can't remember the exact details about China's threat with rare earth minerals. I think what they do is they restrict the amount that they let us buy. That's one of their ways that they try to screw us over. Is they know that we rely heavily on those rare earth minerals from them. So their way of pressuring us is limiting how much of that they're willing to sell us. And Trump, in retaliation of China doing that, has said that if they don't have a trade deal by November 1st, that the tariffs are getting increased by 100%. Right now, they're at 57%. They're going up to 157%, which is basically where they were like earlier this year, whenever trade with China shut down. That's basically where the tariffs were at. So trade with China is going to shut down on November 1st if we don't sign a trade deal with them by November 1st. Like, if we don't sign a trade deal with China while Trump's over in South Korea, then the tariffs are going back up to 157% with China, which is going to shut down trade with China again. And yeah, this is the last quarter of the year. This is the desperate time for retail. Like most retail businesses, uh, they are not profitable all year long until the last quarter of the year. This is the busy season for retail. So any kind of interruptions to retail during this quarter is devastating to retail. But the thing is that most of these retail outlets have probably started getting their product shipped in by now. By November 1st, most of these retailers have already gotten in like their Christmas stuff. There might be some of them that like they don't have it in yet. But usually they have their Christmas stuff already starting to hit their warehouses and distribution centers by now, because it takes time to distribute it through their network, and they want it to be on display for like a month before Christmas. So yeah, I'm not sure how much this is going to affect the Christmas shopping season, but this is going to suck. There's a delay on everything though, so if the tariffs go into effect on November 1st, we shouldn't see that in trucking immediately. We are going to see some immediate effect, but it shouldn't really hit trucking hard for maybe 3 weeks to a month. Um, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Last time this happened, there were immediate cancellations of orders. Like as soon as the tariffs were implemented, China companies had immediate, like all of their orders just immediately canceled. There were ships that were already loaded that were headed to the United States that had so many canceled orders on the ship that they turned around and went back to China. So, yeah, this is hopefully we have a trade deal by November 1st, but this could be pretty bad. Yeah, this could be really bad. We'll have to wait and see. And there was some announcement that was made. Something happened a few weeks ago that caused Bitcoin to crash. I don't really follow cryptocurrency. I've never been into cryptocurrency. I don't think it's anything that's going to last. I think it's something that's going to completely die out at some point. There's going to be a loss of faith in cryptocurrency, or the governments are going to crack down on it because it's mainly just used to, move money around without government oversight. And as soon as the government forces oversight onto it, then it's probably going to crash. Anyway, I don't think crypto is going to be around forever. But anyway, something happened with crypto, and it caused a crash in crypto. Bitcoin got up to like 120,000 or something, and then it crashed down to like 110 in a couple of hours. Like it's really expensive. Bitcoin has like gone up in price by crazy amounts, and it went down like it was a decent percentage move. And there was some crypto person, so I think he was a social media influencer that got rich off of crypto and was going around saying that they were the crypto king or something like that. And like they got wiped out when crypto crashed. And it didn't like go to zero or anything. It just had a pretty big dip downward. And that person apparently lost everything and committed suicide in their like super sport, like Lamborghini or whatever. I think they shot themselves in the head in their Lamborghini or their McLaren or whatever super car they had. So yeah, there's lots of things happening in the world that is causing finance and economy to go up and down. There's a lot of volatility in the world, is the point that I'm trying to make. So volatility is not good for business. Anytime there's volatility, business tends to like become very conservative. They cut back on spending whenever there's volatility. So anytime there's unknowns or volatility, then businesses tend to get conservative. And there's a lot of unknowns right now. There's a lot of volatility, which is not good for this being like the peak time of year. In trucking, this is generally the best part of the freight season, is this last quarter of the year. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I looked at Portland, and the freight coming out of Portland still looks basically the same as it was last time I was there. It's not very good. I don't ever want to do one of those huge multi-stop loads. The guy, Chris, that I'm picking up this trailer from, he was telling me that the SUL agency that has the cabinet loads out of Grants Pass, Oregon, and several other places across the country, he was telling me how awesome those loads are. And they've saved his ass, and like he's made a ton of money off of those loads. He said that they rarely have more than 10 drops. And even though he gets paid to unload 9 times out of 10, he doesn't have to touch any freight. And I said, well, aren't most of those places like they don't have docks? You're pulling up into like parking lots to unload. And he said, no, almost all of them have docks. And he said he's only been to one place that didn't have a dock, and they had a forklift that they brought to the back of the trailer, and he would put 2 cabinets at a time on the forks, and they would, take it into the building. So yeah, that sounds like a decent option. The cabinet loads out of Grants Pass, but the problem with that is I can't drive in California, and Grants Pass is right on the border of California. So if I drive from Portland all the way down here to Grants Pass, I can't remember how far that is. I want to say it's like 350 miles. Measure distance to here. Oh, that's a lot shorter than I thought it was. It's 187 miles. Oh, no, that's not Portland. That's Salem. There we go. 231 miles, approximately. That's a straight line, but I've got it a little ways past Grants Pass to kind of make up for the curvature of the road. So it's about 230 miles. So there's not really a good way to drive east out of Grants Pass without going through California. So if I drive all the way from Portland down to Grants Pass, that's like 230 miles south. And then I'm going to have to turn around and drive 230 miles back north to go back up to Portland to go east. Because I can't go down through California because I'm illegal in California because my DEF system doesn't work properly right now. I have an error on my DEF system. So yeah, that's just too much deadhead miles. So I don't think I'm going to be messing with the cabinet loads out of Grants Pass. But yeah, that's the load that I'm looking at right now. Here's one of them that I was looking at. They have a bunch of these Grand Island loads. This agent, who is this agency? Where's the agency code at? Is it not on this page? There it is. Agency code BTU. So this is the agent that has a lot of these Grand Island loads. These are contract loads, and this agent has a bunch of these loads. There's also a bunch of loads coming out of Omaha by the CGI agency, and I think they're all going to Salt Lake City, and they pay decent. Let me pause this while I pull up the load board coming out of Omaha. I haven't refreshed it in a long time, so it's going to make me log back in, so give me a second. All right, so I got it pulled back up here. I just remembered all of those CGI loads that were coming out of Omaha going to Salt Lake. They were like 1,000-mile loads, like 967 miles, and they had to be delivered in 21 hours. And they were team loads. They were marked as team loads. So, yeah, that's not an option for me. So let's sort by revenue. Massachusetts, I do not go into the Northeast. So Grand Island to Sandy, Utah. Nogales, Arizona, Orem, Utah. Some of these are really cheap loads. The rates that you see on here, I only get about 70% of what you see on here. I get 65% of the line haul and 100% of the fuel surcharge, which comes out to somewhere in the ballpark of 70%. The rates you see on here are everything. It's fuel surcharge, line haul, if there's stop pay, unload pay, everything. These are the all-inclusive full rates. But all these loads picking up in Grand Island are the same agency, the BTU agency. They had one going to Dallas. Here's one going to Fort Worth, but it has 4 extra stops on it. There was one going to Dallas that I don't think it had any extra stops, but it looks like that one got covered. Here's Grand Island to Arlington, which I think is Dallas. That doesn't have any extra stops on it. I mean, it's not paying great money, $2.67 a mile. I only get about 70% of that, so that's paying somewhere in the ballpark of like $1.95 a mile or something like that. Let's see here. 2.67 times 0.7 is $1.87 a mile. So yeah, they're not great paying loads coming out of the Omaha area, which is why I don't really want to take a load out of Omaha all the way to Portland, because that's a lot of miles for a not great paying load. I would much rather get a mediocre load to Dallas and then find a great paying load from Dallas up to Portland. I was thinking about running the I-35 corridor, the I-35 I-29 corridor again, but as someone pointed out in the comments, the freight market up around Minneapolis sucks. It's not very good. It used to be a decent freight market, but for those of you who are not familiar, Minneapolis has a crazy amount of foreigners that have moved there from, I don't know what country they came from, um, but they're almost all Muslim. Like Minnesota, I think that they tried to pass some legislation recently to have Sharia law in Minnesota. Like there are so many Muslims in Minnesota that have migrated there from what country I don't know, um, that they've like tried to enact Sharia law in Minnesota. So there is a massive amount of foreigners that have migrated into Minnesota, and a lot of them are truck drivers. Like that's what a lot of them do, is they drive truck. So there's a huge amount of foreign labor truck drivers living in the Minneapolis area. And I think that's the reason the rates have started to suck in that area, is because there's so many truck drivers that have moved into that area. But that's pure speculation on my part. And that's just based off of like what little I know. I know that last time I was in the Minneapolis area, every truck stop was overrun with people who looked like they were, Muslims, um, that were just parked everywhere. Like whenever I got fuel at, I forget which truck stop it was, Pilot Flying J or TA Petro, I can't remember. But whenever I got fuel there were people just parked in the roadway loading and unloading their truck from their car. I mean, you knew they lived there because they had their personal vehicle there, and they were just literally parked in the middle of the road loading and unloading from their car. These people come over from these third world countries, and they drive and act like they're still in a third world country. They don't follow the laws or anything. Like, you get down there near the Mexico border, and people will like make left-hand turns from the right-hand lane. People will drive on the shoulder. Like, they drive like they're in a third world country. It's crazy. But yeah, the 2935 corridor, I don't even know if that's a really good option anymore, because Minneapolis, the freight market there, has just gone to crap. But Omaha looks decent. And you know what? There might actually be a really big positive for the freight market, because the freight market is supply and demand. It's the amount of trucks looking for a load versus the number of loads that need to be moved. And they are getting rid of a lot of the foreign labor in trucking. And it's just over the road trucking. You don't have a problem with foreign labor in LTLs. It's over the road trucking. And I had somebody respond to the last video where I talked about the amount of foreign labor in trucking and them cracking down on H-2B visas that are being abused. Like, you're not supposed to be using H-2B visas. Let me pull this up really quick. Just a second here. So this is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services government website. And this is what it says about H-2B visas. Who qualifies for an H-2B visa? Like, what are the requirements for an H-2B visa? Now, just think about this and see if these requirements are being met for an H-2B visa. In order for a company to receive H-2B visas to give out to foreigners to bring in foreign labor, these requirements have to be met. All of these requirements, not just one, all of them. One of the requirements is that there are not enough U.S. workers who are able, willing, qualified, and available to do the temporary work. So they have to meet all of those requirements. So basically, it has to be impossible to fill these positions with local labor. That's one of the requirements for an H-2B visa. That is not the case. The next requirement, H-2B visa workers will not adversely affect the wages and working conditions of similarly employed U.S. workers. So it doesn't even have to be in the exact same industry. Similarly employed. And this is not being met. They are driving down wages, and they are keeping working conditions from being improved. So yeah, this is the first two requirements right here are not being met. And then it goes on. The rest of the requirements have to do with the time. It cannot be, basically, there's a whole bunch of paragraphs here that talk about this cannot be something that just goes on for a long period of time. It has to be a short time occurrence. Even if this is a prolonged event, you can't use H-2B visas for a prolonged event. H-2B visas are for a short-term critical need. And H-2B visas have been abused illegally for decades. So it's just completely illegal how they're using H-2B visas. Now, I think it's the H-1B visas. Those are the visas that everybody talks about when Elon Musk is talking about how he needs qualified people to work in his companies. He's talking about H-1B visas. Those are people that have special skills or high levels of education or something like that. Those are H-1B visas. H-2B visas are just like non-agricultural basic labor. That's what H-2B visas are. It's a completely different thing. And there is absolutely zero need in the United States for H-2B visas. There's zero need for it. But they're abused in the trucking industry to bring in foreign labor. And it's... I don't want to rant and rave about it again, but There was somebody that commented on my video where I talked about the amount of foreign workers in trucking and how the U.S. government cracking down on that foreign labor could cause the freight rates to go up. It could fix our freight rate issue. And somebody on the radical left came in preaching their propaganda. The radical left has this ideology that if somebody comes into the country illegally and then they apply for asylum, they're suddenly legal. Like everything, like clean slate, they're good to go. That is not true. But that is what the radical left preaches to their cult. And their cult lives in an echo chamber. And they hear that constantly. And they think that's true. And it's not. So I had one of their cult members preach that nonsense in my video where I talked about the foreign labor in the trucking industry. According to the data that I found, there's 130,000 legal foreign workers in the trucking industry here on H-2B visas. And we have no idea how many illegal foreign labor workers there are in the trucking industry. But it's probably a lot higher. I estimate it's much higher than the legal workers. And it's states like California that are handing out CDLs to these people that are here illegally. They're not supposed to be giving CDLs to these people. And I think they said there's like 4 radical left states that are giving CDLs to illegals. And they're not supposed to be giving CDLs out to these people. And it's causing a huge problem in the trucking industry. It's one of the reasons the rates suck is because of the amount of trucks over the road. And like it has, another issue with the the amount of accidents. I've had 2 people, I'm trying to remember the number of accidents I've been in, the number of people that have hit me while I've been parked at the truck stop. And it's been 2. Neither one of them could speak English worth a damn. The guy, Chris, that I'm going to pick up the truck from right now, the guy that hit him can't speak English. It's some no-name trucking company. So it's a huge problem in trucking. It's costing untold millions of dollars in damages from all the accidents that they're causing. Massive loss of life. We had that one incident, and this is just one of many. Like, there's a lot of incidents that don't make national news. They make local or regional news, but the one that made national news was that that person that was here illegally that had a California CDL that did a U-turn in Florida and killed 3 people. A couple years ago here in Oklahoma City, this did not make national news. This is just local news. There were a couple of people, I'm not sure if they were here illegally, but they were not from this country. They came up on stop traffic and they didn't slow down. Like, they didn't realize traffic was stopped, and they just went through a whole bunch of cars. I don't know. I can't remember how many people they killed and injured, but like, they didn't even touch their brakes. They completely stopped traffic, just ran into them at like 60 miles an hour. But yeah, stuff like that happens all the time. It's just how many people have been killed from all these foreign workers that like can't read our street signs. There was X.com. There was a post I just saw today. I don't know if it's a recent post or I just saw it today. Maybe it's an old post. But there was a post on X.com of some truck coming through like a toll plaza going the wrong way in traffic. And some truck driver pulled over and cut him off and got him to stop and then pulled up alongside him. Like, what are you doing? It was somebody that couldn't speak English, couldn't read the signs, had no idea what was going on, didn't realize they were going the wrong way. That guy probably just saved someone's life by telling the person they were on the wrong side of the road. They need to get on the other side of the road. Like, they were just going to take off driving the wrong way and probably have a head-on collision and kill a bunch of people. Like, that's like, it is insane that we have these radical left states that are handing out CDLs to people that can't read, write, speak, communicate in English. Like, they can't read the signs. They don't understand how to drive in this country. Like, they don't know what they're doing. It's dangerous. And it's illegal. Like they're not even supposed to be in the country, and they're handing out CDLs to these people. Like it's insane. I don't understand the radical left. It is just absolutely crazy. But yeah, this is the H-2B visas, and they're being abused, and they've shut that down. I checked. As far as I know, they suspended H-2B visas for trucking back in like August 28th, shortly after that illegal killed all those people in Florida. Um, and they're still suspended as of right now. And I'm not sure if that affects renewals or just new visas. I suspect that it affects renewals as well. So, like, that's probably like 130,000 truck drivers that are going to disappear over the next couple of years. And it's all over the road truck drivers, because I can't imagine people on H-2B visas working at UPS or FedEx or XPO or Saya or any of those places. I don't think those people hire drivers on H-2B visas. It's not easy to get on with those places. They don't have an issue hiring people. The H-2B visas are mainly those no-name trucking companies out of Chicago and places like that. No-name trucking companies out of California. There's a few different places where we have huge amounts of foreign workers working at small, like no-name trucking companies. They've got their trucking information duct taped to the side of their truck. Yeah, and I think Chris, the guy I'm picking up the load from, I think he told me that there's some weird stuff with the guy that hit him. I think he said that he didn't speak English very well or at all. And like the company name on his truck didn't match the insurance stuff. Like none of it matched up. Like that's the kind of janky, shady stuff that we deal with in the trucking industry with these foreign workers. Usually the companies that are bringing these people in are these companies that like they create a new name for their trucking company every 6 months to a year, because they ruin their CSA score every 6 months to a year. So they have to fire up a new trucking company, and they just change the name on the side of the truck. And like the guy that hit me didn't have insurance. All he had was bobtail insurance. And it took like, I think 2 years before Progressive closed out that claim. I got an email like 2 years after that accident, and Progressive sent me a letter in the mail. I don't think it was an email. I think it was a letter in the mail. Progressive sent me and said, yeah, we're not going to pay this claim. The person did not have insurance through us. But it took them like 2 years to do that. And it was because all he had was bobtail insurance, and he had a loaded flatbed when he hit me. And my insurance had to pay that out because he didn't have insurance. But that was one of those. That was some kid from Ukraine that was probably here legally, I'm assuming. But he was working for one of those, no-name trucking companies out of the Chicago area. And I checked a year or so ago, and that company I don't think was in business anymore. So yeah, they probably ruined their CSA score with having an accident without insurance, and they just fired up a new company, shut that one down. That'd be my guess. But yeah, anyway, it's the foreign labor is a huge problem. It's not just a rate issue, it's also an insurance issue. It's causing our insurance rates to be higher. It's causing the roads to be more dangerous. It's filling up the truck stops. Like, it's craziness. It's a huge problem. But anyway, I'm ranting and raving at this point. So yeah, I've got a ton of stuff to do to get ready. I'm basically just waiting on a food delivery to show up. I'm in the middle of loading up the truck. I need to print out the permits. I'm doing laundry. I'm downloading a bunch of updates on my laptop while I have good internet here, so I don't have to download, out over the road. I'm trying to get everything downloaded on my laptop. And I'm just trying to get the truck ready to go out over the road. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to do meal prep. and I got to figure out what I'm going to do as far as um, coolant at O'Reilly's or whatever. I think I might try to drive over to the truck tonight and load the truck up tonight. And I think O'Reilly's closes at like 9 p.m. or something. So I should have the car loaded up by like 7 or 8, and I can swing by O'Reilly's, grab coolant, and then drive over, load the truck up, and then come back to the house, sleep, wake up tomorrow, take a shower, and then head over and hop in the truck and just go. And the truck will already be loaded up and ready to go when I get there. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow to load the truck up. I don't know if I want to drive over there an extra time. I was wanting to switch out the microwaves because I have a regular microwave in the truck right now, and I'm wanting to switch it out with a microwave, air fryer, oven combo that I've been thinking about putting in the truck for a while. And I've finally decided that I think I want to put it in there. But I don't have very much space in my car, so taking that thing over there is going to be a pain in the butt. And I don't want to leave the microwave in the car while I'm out over the road. So maybe I'll drive over there tonight and swap out the microwaves, and then I can bring the microwave back home and put it in the house instead of, bringing it with me tomorrow, and then, the microwave just has to sit there because it'll take up a whole bunch of space in the car, and it'll be really difficult for me whenever I get back home next time. I won't have nearly any space to put anything in the car with that microwave in there. I've already loaded a bunch of stuff into the truck. Like whenever I got the oil change done, I took over my my bedding material and all of my water, my gallon jugs of water. And I forget what all else I took over there. Oh, something I bought while I was here at home is non-stick pans for my induction cooktop that I started bringing with me out on the truck. Man, non-stick is the only way to go. Those pans that I took with me last time, it's not easy to find pans that work with induction because almost all pans are made out of aluminum, and aluminum doesn't work with induction. You need a ferrous metal for induction to work because it works with magnetism, and aluminum doesn't, it's not magnetic. So last time I bought pans for the induction cooktop, I just got regular like pans. They were not non-stick, and man, they are a pain to clean, and they are not easy to cook with. Like you have to constantly move the food around, and it just like it's like concrete. It just really, really sticks to the pan. It's a pain to cook on, stuff that's not non-stick. So while I was at home this time, I, looked around trying to find some kind of non-stick pan that works with induction. I found some. They're aluminum pans that have like a ferrous metal bottom that will heat up on induction. But the rest of the pan is aluminum, and it has a non-stick surface. And I've used them a couple of times at the house to test them out, and they are awesome. Like, they are really awesome. So I'm taking those out with me on the truck this time. Looking forward to that, because it was a pain to clean the pans last time. Like, it was really difficult to clean the pans. So yeah, I'm going to be bringing out some non-stick pans with me this time. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, we'll see how things go. I've been awake for a really long time. I think I've been awake since like midnight. I'm on a weird sleep schedule. So I've been awake for like 16 hours or so. It's 4:23 p.m. right now. So I've been awake for probably over 16 hours. So, and I'm not like feeling like driving over to the truck tonight. So what I might do is I might just hold off on swapping out the microwaves until next time I'm at home. I should have done it whenever I got the oil change, but I forgot. and I don't think I want to deal with it with, an extra trip to the truck tonight because I am already really tired. And like 4 hours from now, I am not going to feel like driving to the other side of town and back and loading up the truck. I'm just wiped out right now. I'm just sitting here thinking what I was planning on doing was staying up all night tonight and sleeping all day tomorrow and like leaving Oklahoma City at like 7 p.m. tomorrow night. It's only going to be about maybe a 10-hour drive from Oklahoma City to Omaha, including, the stops. I'm going to stop and get fuel, and I'm going to need to stop and pick up the trailer. It's going to be about, 500 miles, which at 60 miles per hour, that's that's 6 times 8. It's roughly 8 hours of driving. But whenever you factor in the time to get fuel and the time to swap the trailer, and then I'm going to have to take a 30-minute break as well because the fuel and the trailer are going to be really early. I might not have to take, yeah, no, I'm going to probably have to take a 30-minute break. It's going to be right at the 8-hour mark, so I'll probably have to take a 30-minute break. So I would factor about 10 hours. So if I left at 7 p.m. and it took me 10 hours, then that would be from 7 to midnight's 5 hours, and then midnight to 5 a.m. That'd be another 5 hours, right? So I would get there at 5 a.m. and they don't open until 9 a.m. So I would get there 4 hours early. So I could actually probably leave Oklahoma City at like 8 p.m. Would probably be a little bit better to leave later at like 8 p.m. But that was the original plan. But the agent, I don't like the agent. The agent has been really pushy, and I told the agent like I'd be there, you know, Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and pick up the trailer and then be there to deliver it Wednesday morning. And he's like, yeah, I'll make sure that he's unhooked from the trailer by noon. And I was like, I didn't say noon. I said afternoon. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. He's trying to put words in my mouth like, oh, you're going to be there by noon. No, that's not happening. But what I was just thinking of is with as tired as I am, I think I can get everything done and get the car loaded and ready to go by probably like 7 or 8 p.m. and sleep tonight. Wake up early in the morning. If I leave Oklahoma City at like 6 a.m., so if I wake up early, get up at like 4 a.m., get out of here by 4:30, get over to the truck by 5 a.m., get the truck loaded and ready to go, and leave Oklahoma City by 6 a.m., then roughly 9 to 10 hours from there, that means that I could arrive by 4 o'clock in the afternoon Wednesday. I'm not even sure if it's worth trying to do that because there's almost no way that I can get there early enough Wednesday that I can deliver the load on Wednesday. Um, I would have to leave here really early to be able to deliver Wednesday. I guess I could. I asked Chris to call me, and he said that he was trying to prime the truck and see if it will start because they were pressuring him to disconnect from the truck, and he was trying to get a tow truck out there. He was trying to get the insurance company to get a tow truck out there so he wouldn't have to pay out of pocket because it's going to cost like $1,000 just to have a tow truck disconnect and move him to another parking spot. It's going to be really expensive. And he was trying to avoid paying that out of pocket. So I'm not even sure if it, like, I could take a nap, wake up at like midnight, take a shower, get over to the, truck, get everything, and leave Oklahoma City by like 2 a.m. and pick up the trailer and do all of that stuff. And I could be making the delivery in Omaha by like noon tomorrow. I could do that. I wouldn't get much sleep tonight. I'd probably only get like maybe a 5 hour nap because I don't think I'd be able to get to sleep. I got a whole bunch of stuff to do, but I think I can get everything done by 7 p.m. And I could go to bed at 7 p.m., wake up at midnight, get like 5 hours of sleep, and then go pick the load up and deliver it. But I would like to find out from Chris what's going on. Let me try calling him. Hey, it's Daniel. Um, yeah, it's just you didn't call me back. So I was oh wow. Oh, no. No. Yeah. Uh, did you duct tape it? But you were able to get disconnected, moved over, you moved your truck over into another spot? Okay. Yeah, that's what I was checking on. The agent is he was I don't know how he talked to you whenever you said he called you pissed, but whenever he called me, yeah, he really ticked me off the way he talked at me, and he didn't really let me say anything. And I was not happy. So when he called me back, apologizing, asking me to stay on the load, I came really close to saying no. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. That's just how recaps are. There's almost always a little bit of separation on the recap. There's nothing illegal about that. Oh my goodness. Mhm. Yeah. So, mhm. Yeah, this is all this stuff is what he told me whenever he apologized. He was like, "This is a $2.5 million account, and they're breathing down my neck and all that stuff." So, but yeah, I came close to telling him no. So yeah, the main thing I was wanting to check with on you is that he and I went back and forth. He was basically wanting me to go pick the load up today. And I was like, he's still like he's hooked up to the damn thing. Like I can't even pick it up today. And like I yeah. Yeah, he basically what he told me was he was going to make sure that you were disconnected from it by noon tomorrow. And so let me tell you my thought process and what I was wanting to find out if you were successful in disconnecting from the truck because I got two trains of thought going through my mind right now. I fully set the expectation with him that I was going to pick it up tomorrow night and just drive it straight through and deliver it first thing Wednesday morning. And that is apparently what he told the customer, and that's the page everybody's on. And so that would mean that I would show up tomorrow, probably at like, I would leave Oklahoma City late tomorrow night, like 8 or 9 p.m. I would show up to you at like 11 p.m., pick up the trailer, and drive it straight through to Omaha and get there. They don't open until 9 a.m. So that's kind of the expectation we set. But what I was thinking of right now was another option is that if you got disconnected from the trailer today, then I could just take like a 5 hour nap tonight after I get, the car loaded up. Like I'm still like loading my clean clothes and my food and everything into the car to take it over. The truck's parked like 30 miles away. Um, so I was thinking I could have the car loaded up by like 7 p.m. and be, have all that ready to go, take a 5 hour nap, wake up at midnight, and then drive over to the truck at midnight and load up the truck and like um, be leaving Oklahoma City by like 2 a.m. Get to, let's see, it's 100 miles away, but I'm gonna have to stop and get fuel. So it's like an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes plus a 15-minute fuel stop, be about 2 hours. So if I left Oklahoma City at 2 a.m., I would get to you sometime probably around 4 a.m. and then from there it's like approximately 400 miles to the delivery. So that would be what, 8 hours approximately. No, 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 7 hours. Yeah, so 6.5, 7 hours. So if I get to you by 4 a.m., then I could arrive at the receiver by like 11 a.m. noon. That should be early enough in the day that they could unload the trailer tomorrow. And that would make everybody super happy for me to deliver it tomorrow by like noon. Um, I'm just sitting here thinking, man, am I going to be able to get everything ready by then and also get sleep and all that stuff? So I was checking. The reason I was wanting to get a hold of you is to see if that was even going to be an option. Did you get disconnected from it? And you did, so that is an option. Um, mhm. So did you park in the spot right next to it? So are you sleeping in the truck? Or are you staying in a hotel or what? Okay, so you have the Jeep. So are you double parking the bobtail and the Jeep in the same spot? So what basically the reason I'm asking all these questions is like if I make the decision at the last second, are you going to be there at the truck when I get there at 4 a.m. or like, yeah, okay, so if okay, so if I leave here at 2 a.m., if I decide in the middle of the night that that's what I'm going to do, I can just send you a text message at 2 a.m. and let you know, and you'll be able to meet me at the truck and take your lock off and give me the paperwork. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So, I have no idea what I'm going to do. It depends on whether or not I'm going to be able to fall asleep. Yeah. Hmm. Wow. It is a bureaucracy. And then they change the procedure every couple of years. So once you figure out the procedure, they change it on you. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I yeah. So I might be there real early in the morning, um, or I might be there real late tomorrow night. It just depends on whether or not I'm going to be able to sleep. But I will give you at a minimum 2 hours notice. I'll text you at least 2 hours. I'm not going to call because I don't know what your sleep schedule is going to be like, but I will text you at least 2 hours before. Like as soon as I leave the house, I'll text you and let you know my ETA. All right, thank you, sir. Bye bye. All right. I don't know how much of that his side of the call that you could hear. I didn't want to stick it on speakerphone. I can't stand people that talk to me on speakerphone. It is so incredibly annoying. I don't think they realize how bad speakerphone sounds. So I didn't want to throw it on speaker so that you could hear what he was saying, because I think that's just rude because the sound quality is so bad. But this is a really sensitive mic, so you might have been able to hear what he was saying. I don't know. Uh, so I think you basically got the gist of that conversation. The reason I was wanting him to call me back was so that I could tell him what the expectation was that I set with the agent, and I could figure out what was going on with the truck and trailer situation. You know, when was he going to get disconnected from the trailer? So he is already disconnected from the trailer right now. He's parked a couple of spaces away from the trailer, and he's waiting for people to pull out of spots, and he's trying to maneuver over closer to the trailer. Um, so basically, I just need to meet up with him. Because it's considered a high value load, he has to keep the lock on the trailer until I get there. He cannot leave the trailer unattended for a long period of time. Like, he can go take a shower and stuff like that. He can step away from the trailer for short periods of time, but he can't leave the trailer unattended for long periods of time with it being a high value load. Um, so I basically have to, he can't just leave the documents in the back of the trailer and remove his lock, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, usually on a trailer handoff, that's what you can do. Just take your lock off of it, put the documents in the back of the trailer, and leave the trailer there. But since this is a high value load, he can't do that. I have to actually meet up with him, get the documents, and have him remove his lock. So I have to coordinate the handoff with him. So I think what I'm going to do right now is just try to get everything done really quick and try to go take a nap, get the car loaded up, get all the permits printed out and everything, try to take a nap, and try to leave here in the middle of the night. I think I'm going to run over to O'Reilly's really quick and get some coolant right now. Just run over there real quick and get coolant before I load the car up. So I'm going to end the video and try to go slam all this stuff out, get a nap, leave here, wake up at midnight, get a shower and everything, get over to the truck, get it loaded up, get out of Oklahoma City by about 2 a.m. I think that's what I'm going to try to do, and get the load delivered tomorrow and make everybody a lot happier. And one of the reasons I'm thinking about doing that is because I have a really bad feeling that the agent is going to be calling me all day tomorrow, wanting to know, like, when are you leaving? What's going on? And I'm trying to sleep. Like, the agents don't process that information. The agents don't, like, think, like, what's going on. Like, they don't think that truck drivers sleep. They will call you at all hours of the day and night, and it doesn't process in their brain that you need sleep. Like with this agent wanting me to pick the load up today, like you do realize that, like, I've been awake all day long. I've got all this crap to do. I still need to sleep, and he's expecting me that I'm going to go pick the load up today. I'm just going to drop everything I'm doing, go pick the load up, drive all night, overnight tonight, and then deliver the load first thing in the morning. That's what he wanted me to do, because they just don't envision, like, it doesn't go through their Like, these are people that work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. They work banker's hours. And they think that we work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop without sleep. We're just a bunch of meth head truck drivers. Like, there are a lot of people that still have that mentality about truck drivers. So, anyway. I think I'm going to go slam all this stuff out. And if I can get to sleep in the next couple of hours, then I'm going to set my alarm for midnight and just go slam this thing out and get it delivered tomorrow by about noon. And that way, I just have a really, really, really bad feeling that this agent is going to be pestering me tomorrow. And even if I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, it will still wake me up with people calling me and the display turning on and lighting up the room. It's still annoying. Even if I turn it over on, it's like, I am a really, really, really light sleeper. Just a flashing light in the room will wake me up. Any kind of noise will wake me up. So yeah, I just have a really bad feeling that if I try to do it, pick it up tomorrow night, it's just not going to work out. I'm not going to be able to sleep worth a damn tomorrow. So anyway, hope you're having a good one. I will probably start making driving videos as soon as I get back into the truck. I don't know if I'll make one tonight or tomorrow morning, however you want to look at it, with it being, dark, nighttime. But we're hitting the winter, and we're getting into that season where there's not a lot of light during the day. So if I'm going to make driving videos, there's probably going to be a lot of dark driving videos. But anyway, have a good one, and bye.